Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. So today, this message is hold on, your breakthrough is coming. Hallelujah. Have you heard ministers at times say something along these lines? Life is going to test us. Life is going to stretch us beyond what we can deal with. Sometimes life is going to make us wish that we were never born. You might be the one listening that's praying for change and that you want blessings, you want doors open, you want justice, you want angels to fight your battles, you want someone to say they're sorry, you want reconciliation or restoration, you want many things. But then the enemy comes along and says, you're not getting that. You might as well just give up. You might as well stop praying. God's not listening. But meanwhile, God says, keep going. I know that for some of you all, it's very difficult, this journey that we're on, because you might even take some of what I say and then you go and you test it and you're hoping for various results and then you don't get any. It's not the time, it's not the season. Sometimes it isn't. But then there are times where there is a breakthrough. There is a little bit of hope. And so we thank God. I, not that long ago, recorded a message on gratitude. We thank Him. What we're struggling with, like Joseph, for instance, who spent many years in prison, or David, who was anointed king, but then he had his share of difficulties, or even Jesus, who suffered. All of those negative situations, but yet God turned around all of those struggles. And they didn't go through those struggles in vain. What you're going through right now, you are not going through in vain. Oftentimes you will hear at the church where a minister will say that there's something greater. Sister, brother, there's something greater. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but there's something greater. Galatians 6:9 says, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. But who in the circle is giving up? I feel like someone is giving up. Turn the situation around. See the good in it. See the bigger picture. You're smarter than that. The enemy is dumbing you down by making you think about all these things that are irrelevant to your situation, making you think about the who, the what, the when, and what exactly was the motive, when in all actuality, it's about what God is preparing you for. And when we prayed a long time ago about certain things, some folks are getting the answer that they're still not ready, because when the trials show up, this is why the Lord said, I never wanted you to have that job, or I never wanted you to be married. Yes, some people were called to never be married. That's why they're struggling with marriage. Others, I don't know about these kids. You weren't called. So then there are those various resources that are out there to help you, so that you don't have to be in situations where you're ready to throw the towel in. We are to press on, saints as well as sinners. God sees our tears. He knows what we're struggling with. I remember for years I looked in the mirror and I looked at my face and I talked about how, God, why would you keep letting these things show up on my face? The people are teasing me. Little kids were staring wide-eyed. I had bumps that were so huge that it's no exaggeration. They were so huge that you know it's bad when people's eyes pop open. You see? And I said, God, I don't understand. Why is it that I have to go through like this? Why is it that I'm the one that every time I turn around, there's something wrong with my body? I also had headaches and I had backaches, and then my hair was falling out, and there were stressful moments, and the menstrual cycle, it was just doing my body bad. And I'm like, if there's a God, why is it that all of these bad things happen? But this is the problem with some of these teachings, is they only teach that one side, that good moment, that, good story, but they don't talk to you about the challenges. They don't talk to you about how every challenge helps out your personality. It helps you become a more compassionate, more considerate person. They don't tell you about how the sacrifices that you've made, mother, daughter, sister, brother, cousin, how those sacrifices eventually open up breakthroughs. Sometimes they just don't do that. They don't tie the suffering with the blessing. Instead, it's always about the blessing, the blessing. Sister so-and-so is not talking about, though, what she had to give up in order to get that blessing. That child's not talking about all of what they went through in order to be where they are in front of people to share a story. You see, there's always a story behind the story. There's always some type of struggle or sacrifice or drama or trauma that brings somebody to this relationship that we have with the one true God. Sometimes there is a story, but it's not what you think. You may have suffered, but that person didn't. And you're saying, well, I don't understand. How come I had to go through the suffering? There's different strokes for different folks. There's different personalities. There's different struggles. And if you would have had a lighter struggle, you probably wouldn't even be thinking about God right now. Whereas it didn't take much for this person to run to the church. It is what it is, but we don't stay there, because then jealousy and bitterness and resentment creeps up, and we don't want that. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord." Plans to do what? To prosper you, that's right, and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. So if God's plans, right, if God's plans did not show up in your life, then who did? Satan. And sometimes people who are responsible for us, they are not strong. Satan has a way, and then God has to come along to clean up, because God doesn't interfere with a man's free will or a woman's free will. We have the right to do good, and we have the right to do evil. You see, God, he knew the plans for us a long time ago. And he said that his plans was to prosper you and not to harm you. So somebody is in error when they're saying, well, God, this is what he wanted. No, he didn't want that for you. But the path that somebody put you on, or maybe you put yourself on, is what caused the harm. But that's not God's plan for us. It's to keep us broke, busted, and disgusted, to keep us hurting, suffering, and all of that. No. But when people don't listen, when people don't do, when people don't protect, when people don't encourage, when people discourage, when people lie, when people connive, when people are pimps, players, hustlers, gamblers, liars, and drunkards, you best believe, and you stay around them, or they're responsible for you, or they chose to make decisions that hurt many people, you best believe that God's plans don't come through. But when it's in your power, though, to do right, then you do right so that God's plans can finally come forth to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. And sometimes you might have to visit a doctor. Sometimes you have to visit a counselor or be a part of a support group in order to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes you have to go over there to the rehab center where you have to stay and give those people your cell phone so that you can finally get centered on what the plans are that will eventually prosper you and give you hope and a future. Sometimes people have to learn the hard way, because it wasn't enough for us to talk to them. It wasn't enough for us to warn them, to tell them that, listen, the decisions that you make are ultimately the poor ones. Let's be specific. The poor decisions that you make will ultimately do what? Steal from you, right? Destroy you, put you in your grave sooner rather than later. That is Satan's plan. It starts with a little thing. The little thing where a parent tells a child, this is what you should do. And that should do involves them having to do something. But they push back on that. Guess what? Later on in life, what do you think is going to happen? Somebody else is going to do the same thing. Could you please? Would you? Okay? And the person wants to push back. Well, now you do that sort of thing, you don't have a job. Now you do that sort of thing, you don't have a date. Now you do that sort of thing, you delay the possibility of having a quality relationship with someone that produces children, and that you have a great job and all these other wonderful things, because the rebellion, the pushback that I don't want to do, I can't stand, this is, an inconvenience and whatever else. And at the end of the day, it's really about you. Come on. I don't know who I'm speaking to, but it's really about you. In the last message, we talked about time management. In the last message, we talked about self-discipline. We talked about health and exercise and staying fit. We talked about all of these things. And over the course of our years, some of us 20-something, 30-something, 40, 50-something, 60-something years old, people along the way told us what we should do that was going to better us. And we, like the teenager, had a nasty attitude, didn't want to listen, and now look at some of us. My God. And so what I'm saying to some of you all is that if you would get to a place and stop being so headstrong and always wanting to shoot the messenger and in your feelings, and just take God at his word, taking that quiet time during the day, walking with him, trusting in him, acting on his word, I promise you that these plans that he has for your life that he speaks of in Jeremiah 29:11 will come to pass. But you got to be willing to work. It's not just going to be God coming down, so to speak, right? Or living within us through the Holy Spirit to guide us. But you got to be proactive. You see? This isn't a genie God. You don't just rub on a lamp and then suddenly, poof, he shows up. This isn't the kind of God where, I just sit there and I don't have to do anything. And then, magically this appears and that appears and everything's great. You have to be proactive. And if you are good with the little things, somebody telling you something, that small thing, then God will give you another cheat code, if you will. And then he'll give you another cheat code. And then before long, you've got the entire process in terms of how you can be a better person for yourself, for your future family, for your family's family, for your family's family. Can I tell you, this is a generational thing. It's not just about you. Come on. This is a generational thing. When we are ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we know that those that have been left behind, they are called, and not only called by God, but chosen, and they have to be the ones to usher their families forth. They have to have that mindset to see bigger and greater than just the day to day. And this is what this God does, is he'll put those seeds in our mind, in our spirit. We will share the information. That person will either allow that seed to grow, and then they'll do something with that seed, or that seed will die, and then they'll have to learn when they're 30, or they'll have to learn when they're 40, or they'll have to learn when they're 50 or 60 plus years old, or they may never learn. And then if that's the case and they're causing all hell on this earth, guess what? There's an eternal death for them. Okay? And there is no seeing mommy and daddy and cousin and auntie and whatever else in heaven. No, and no some more. You better start taking God seriously. You better start taking God seriously and stop this foolishness, because we are living in uncertain times. And when you live in uncertain times, you never know the day or the hour that your life might be shortened. While we talking about older people, a lot of younger people are leaving this earth sooner rather than later. So for some, God knows you're weary. He knows you're tired. He knows you're depressed. He knows that you've been thinking about all sorts of things like unaliving yourself. He knows these things. And that is why he will put people around you to remind you to live, that you are greater, that there is a bigger purpose and a plan for you. That is, it isn't just happenstance that your parents or your grandparents or whoever came into your life. But that God said that I use these people for my good and for your good. And he wants you to be strong through these times of uncertainty. He wants you to be that person that knows that that you have a plan, that you have a purpose, and that you have a God who loves you and cares about you. And forget about these people who messed up. Forget about them. They messed up. But now, who is responsible for self? You. You see? So in Romans 8:28, help us to trust that you are working all things for our good, right? All things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. All things, good, bad, or otherwise. It doesn't matter how dark or disturbing. It all works out for your good when you're walking with the one true God, when you're trusting in him. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. God didn't give up on us. That's why, once again, he uses people, places, and things to remind us. I still love you. I still want what's best for you. But do you want what's best for you? Do you love yourself enough to say, okay, this time I'm going to do the right thing. This time I'm going to continue to walk this walk. This time I'm going to get some help for this broken mind, for this broken body. My God. This time I'm going to get teamed up with the right person. This time I'm going to do what the book says in terms of building up my business instead of just doing what I want, when I want, how I want it. This time I'm going to trust God for the right workplace. This time I'm going to trust God when it comes to finishing my education. You see? Your breakthrough is coming. Your breakthrough is coming. Someone is going to say yes. Someone is going to say you're approved. Someone is going to say that place that you're in, you don't have to worry about that no more because we got something better. Somebody is going to finally call you after all these days, weeks, months, and years with some good news. A letter shows up. Oh my goodness. Finally. You see? Because you finally decided to do. You finally decided to trust. You finally decided to take God at his word. I thank you as always for taking time out to listen. You've been listening to YouTube Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share, and there are links in the description box. Blessings to you.